I'm going to be talking about a #1 song from 1985 that hit that position a day before my 17th birthday. Hey everyone, welcome to Dr. Pundit. I'm Michael Douglas, where we talk about music, not medicine. And before we get any further, if you could like and subscribe to this channel, because it basically puts it up in a position in the algorithm that makes it easier to find, easier to discover. So if you like the content that I'm putting out, please, by all means, like and subscribe. So on this edition of Dr. Pundit, we'll be talking about the first of a brand new series, an occasional series, on this channel called #1 Hits of the 1980s. Now, it was easy for me to say, well, we can go in chronological order from, I think it was January 5th, 1980 to December 27, 1989. That takes all the fun out of it. I mean, you could basically consult any source. Basically, you know what I'd be talking about in the weeks and months ahead. Well, this keeps it kind of fresh, you know. Yes, these songs hit #1, but you won't know which ones I'll be talking about. So there you go. So that being said, #1 Hits of the 80s, the first of an occasional series here on Dr. Pundit. And I want to talk about a song that was capitalizing on the huge synth pop, synth-driven craze in the mid-1980s, from about late 1984 to about the end of 1987. You had a lot of loud percussions, a lot of drum machine software, a lot of keyboards had that functionality built in, and you saw it as a device used in a lot of R&B hits, especially dance R&B hits that leaned pop. One of those that really used that concept was by a band called Ready for the World, who hit #1 on October 12th, 1985 with their smash, Oh Sheila. That song would be the band's first and only #1 hit. Now, this band, Ready for the World, had tons of R&B hit singles that hit the top 10 and top 20, but this was their only one that hit #1. They had another top 10 hit in early 1987 called Love Me Down, which was another memorable #1 R&B hit. Out of the box, there were comparisons to the Purple one, Prince. The lead singer, Melvin Riley, of the group, said that that wasn't a burden. He thought it was a compliment. And I think they capitalized on it, because if you hear a lot of their hits, maybe a little bit less so on the #1 hit, Oh Sheila, the influence was there. Now, the first time I heard the band Ready for the World was on their top 10 hit called Tonight. That song hit #6 on the R&B singles chart and hit in late 1984, early 1985. And I bought the 45 actually. And that's when I first started to really take note of this band. They then released another single in the late winter, early spring of that year that hit also #6 on the hot R&B singles chart called Deep Inside Your Love, which is a ballad and my second favorite track from this band, Ready for the World. Again, pop radio was slow to kind of catch on, but that all changed by the summer of that year, 1985, when Oh Sheila hit. And at the time, I knew it wasn't a Prince song because I knew about this band, obviously, from their first 2 R&B hits, but radio took notice. So on its face, the song Oh Sheila is the peak of pop, post-disco, synth-driven funk in the mid-1980s, perfect for that time in music's evolution. The lead singer I talked about, Melvin Riley, even sported a British accent. I'm not sure what that was about. He was asked about it years later, and I don't think it was intentional. It was just something I think he just took and ran with as the band recorded the song. So at its crux, it's basically a guy who may seem a little bit superficial today, maybe back then. He's basically telling this woman, Oh Sheila, let me love you till I get it right. He can't decide if he wants to move on or not. Then he talks about one of her male friends is going to hit on her and hurt her if he doesn't keep loving her and that kind of thing. He kind of wants it both ways. Ultimately, however, by the end of the song, he does want to move on, and he basically says, I think it's getting too hard and I want to have my own fun. There you go. Not much lyrically to the song. It's the synth-driven beat that I really love on Oh Sheila. But I think it's a fitting single for the inaugural episode of this occasional series on Dr. Pundit, number one hits of the 80s. You know, this band, Ready for the World, squarely falls into a lot of the buckets that other similar acts fell into at the same time, but did not hit number one in the Billboard Hot 100. Groups like Climax, Force MDs, those two come to mind. Groups that hit big initially, then kind of withered down. This band, of course, they only had this one number one hit, but they survived for another year or two before being relinquished to a sound that could not take them out of the 1980s and into the 1990s. It doesn't matter because Ready for the World paved their way, and they did it with style, and they did not give two freaks about how anybody felt about how they compared to Prince. They just were in it, and they lived it up. And I think it's great, and I'm glad they hit number one with Oh Sheila. I'm Michael Douglas. Thanks for watching this edition of Dr. Pundit, and please like and subscribe. And until next time, as the late great Barry White always used to say, let the music play.